What's up and welcome to the video. Today we're going to talk about the, can I call it new?
You're not lying.
Brand new. It feels weird saying that. The brand new Apple Watch Series 10. It's right in the midst of all sorts of hardware dropping.
Yeah,
super busy. Yeah. We're right in the midst of a bunch of different products dropping. We have a bunch of stuff in the queue that we still have to make videos for as well. So we're in a pretty busy period, and I think the sub count is reflecting that too.
Yeah, we're noticing the support, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah,
we love making this kind of content, and we do want to make sure that we bring quality stuff that's entertaining for you guys. So stay tuned because there's a lot more coming.
Yeah. But with that said, let's talk about
Apple Watch Series 10.
The new Series 10.
Now, before we start into the review, we do want to mention, we probably want to get it out of the way now, that this is the 10th generation of the Apple Watch. The Series 10, not quite 10 years yet, but it is a 10th iteration that they've released. And to be quite frank, we did expect a little bit more. We expected something kind of like the iPhone 10 where they revamped a lot of different things, whether it's the design, functionality, the style, whatever it may be, to make it more unique and for it to stand out across the line of Apple Watches along the years. But it didn't happen. Now, it's not something that's new. Starting with the series, 7 or 8?
Yeah,
we haven't seen much changes on every Apple Watch that comes out. If anything, is one or two things that are different, but they're not major upgrades. So it's not new. But we did expect a little bit more because it is a Series 10.
Yeah. For the last few years of the iPhone line specifically, we saw pretty iterative updates. Right. And then 10 comes out, and I don't even think that was exactly 10 years for the iPhone either, right? It was,
right. Well,
it was like 11.
Right? 07 to 17.
Yeah. So it was a little bit better in terms of like time frame for the iPhone, but still 10th generation, right? Apple went all out, the iPhone 10 with the Roman numeral, not just the number 10.
Yeah, iPhone X, like people call it.
Yeah. Introduced Face ID and all sorts of radical changes to the way the iPhone looked and felt. And there were really heavy rumors that the same thing was going to happen with the watch.
Yep.
Yeah. And
it didn't.
Yeah. And to be fair, right? David's right in terms of all of the updates being iterative. I feel like for the longest time, like since 7 came out, we were like, just wait for 8. 8 came out, just wait for 9. 9 came out, just wait for 10, because that's got to be the big one.
It has to be.
And now 10 is here, and
it wasn't.
Yeah. And mind you, he didn't officially, this is his test device. He didn't actually upgrade.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah, he didn't actually pay to upgrade. This is his test device, so that's where we're at.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Now, one of the big selling points with Watch Series 10 are some of the changes that Apple's made to the display. Right. So we have larger displays, and David will touch on them later, but we have some more advanced display technology.
Yeah.
So let's start with the screen sizes, right? So we still have that 4mm gap between small model and large model, 42mm and 46mm this year, which is up 1mm compared to
last year,
Series 9. Yeah, and also we did some digging, and compared to Series 9, this watch is obviously 1mm larger. Like, it makes sense, the display's bigger, but it's also 1mm thinner.
Yeah,
that is true. I also think it's worth noting that Apple found a way to kind of fuse the antennas with the actual enclosure. So it feels like the watch is now one layer less in terms of materials, and I think that really helps with how good it feels whenever you have it on your wrist. So when you look at previous Apple Watch models, they were comprised of, like I said, 4 layers. So you had the display up top, enclosure around, you had a separate back panel, and then you had all of your sensors that would integrate into the back panel.
Right.
Apple's found a way to fuse enclosure and back panel. Right. So now it's display, all of the enclosure, and then sensors.
Right.
It looks super sleek.
I do have to give him that because the design, it's like Johnny Ive back at the company, dude. It's like he was big on like making everything thinner and making it look better. And this one, I'll give him that. The design is pretty good.
Yeah.
It looks cleaner. And with the technology on the screen, they're calling it wide angle OLED.
Yep.
But it's basically an LTPO3 screen that allows it to get brighter angles. So if you look at it from a distance, or maybe looking it down your wrist, it's supposed to look brighter. It is supposed to look better.
Yeah.
And for a watch, it makes sense because you're not always going to look at it straight on.
Yeah.
So that I do agree and I do appreciate. But you know what's funny is, do you remember when the iPhone 5 came out and how phones were getting like longer. They made that one meme with like Obi-Wan and the lightsaber
Yeah.
iPhone.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, the comparison between the iPhones and the Galaxy is
Right.
getting large. Yeah.
So
Yep.
the watch, it keeps getting bigger.
Yeah, shield on the wrist.
And dude, I wouldn't be surprised if they're gonna make a joke or something
Yeah.
like that because I do appreciate the bigger size,
Yeah.
but there's a limit. There has to be a limit.
Yeah, but I will say, right, like the watch did get bigger, but I think Apple did a really good job of it. It almost feels like they took the watch and they kind of like squashed it while at the same time making it larger.
It's true.
Yeah, because I've always gravitated towards the larger watches. Hence
Right.
why I always wear the Ultras. But even a 46mm like that, you get a ton of display for not a lot of size on your wrist. So if that's something that you're about, you could probably very comfortably get a 46mm,
Oh, and be
even
fine.
if you have small wrists.
100%.
And Apple also ditched stainless steel this year as
Yeah.
the more premium enclosure offering. So if you're concerned about durability, there's now a titanium option that you can opt for, and that will obviously give you that enhanced durability.
And that's a really good point because if you remember from last generations, they used to have a ceramic back. So that back plate was a lot more durable.
Yeah.
And now with this being all aluminum, that concern is it's not going to be as durable. But if you are concerned, like Arian said, if you're concerned about durability, they have that titanium option now.
Yeah, I think the move makes sense too because for some people, I'm sure they probably want the Ultra without all the bulk.
Right.
So now they get the option to have a titanium watch, but it's not gonna be like a massive watch on your wrist.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering if there's more things new, there's technically two more.
Yeah.
Two and a half,
couple more.
something like that. One of them being is the fact that there's a new speaker system on your watch. So if you look at the watch itself on the left side, you are going to notice a different design for the speaker grills, and that's because they have improved the speaker system on the Apple Watch, which now it allows you to play music on your watch.
They're now large enough to where you can play music on your watch. No headphones.
Interesting. It's like taking pictures with an iPad.
Yeah.
It's like you can, but should you?
You probably don't be that person.
Now, the one thing I'll say is that because of the new speaker system, it probably will improve the quality of calls. So if you are one person that, answers calls on your watch, which I think that's more practical, your quality will be better. And I think that's a big plus because the new speaker system is going to allow you to have a better call system.
Yeah.
If you do that.
Yeah. The handoff is like there are probably moments, not all the time, but there are probably moments where you can utilize the whole double pinch to answer a call, right?
Right.
And then
If
now
you're doing
you have
something, 100%.
Yeah. Now you have larger speakers, more clear speakers, so phone calls sound a little bit better, less muffled, right?
Right.
And as far as other hardware upgrades, there were some sensors. I don't want to call them upgrades. I would say that the sensors have been borrowed from the Apple Watch Ultra, right? So the standard Watch Series 10 now has a depth meter that you can set to automatically turn on as soon as the watch is fully submerged in water. And then with the depth meter is a water temperature sensor as well.
Right.
So whenever you're swimming, it can tell you the temp of the water that you're in. Now, again, that's not necessarily new to the watch. Like David and I were talking about it. It's not necessarily a new feature for the watch because it's been on the Ultra, but it is a new feature for Watch Series 10, which I think is good.
Right. I agree.
Because it's another feature that, let's say maybe you wanted the Ultra for certain things.
Right.
They're now here on the standard one, so you don't have to opt for the bigger, much more expensive one.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I think they're good.
And the interesting part is that if you were to check Apple's website, right, and go to the Watch Series 10 page, there are certain other, we'll call them features that are advertised, right? But if you do a little bit of digging, you'll notice that a lot of the features that they advertise are more so tied to the fact that watchOS 11 is coming for a lot of devices.
Right.
And there's new software features built into 11. It's not necessarily exclusive to Watch Series 10.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they do show it on the site as if it was new, or at least exclusive. It's implied just because it's part of the Watch Series 10's page. But you look at things like the sleep apnea. It's being advertised as one of the new features. But if you look, it's also available for the Watch Ultra and the Series 9. So it's not a new thing. It's just something that's newer for a few watches, not only the Series 10.
Yeah.
Another one that's interesting is that the sleep apnea is part of the Vitals app. The Vitals app is another one, but that one's even available for older watches. It's not going to have the sleep apnea section, but it tracks a lot of your vitals when you go to sleep. So if you're someone that goes to sleep with your watch to keep track of your sleep, heart rate, all those sensors and metrics, the Vitals app is going to be great, but you don't have to get the new watch for that. You just got to update it.
Yeah.
One more is the fast charging, and this is one thing that kind of bugged me. They do advertise faster charging, 80% in 30 minutes. Amazing. but it's been available since the Watch Series 7. So it's not a new thing with the Series 10. It's just something that's cool, but not new.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Something that I like that's at least built into watchOS 11 is the training load feature.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Now, you do need 28 days. Like, once you get watchOS 11, you do need 28 days of training data before Apple can actually give you insights into your training load and whether or not you should rest more, or what, like, your workouts have been looking like in terms of impact on your body. So they are trying to give you some more advanced insight.
Let me ask you this. Is that exclusive to the Series 10?
It's not. It's absolutely not. And there are like a couple of other ones that we found funny too. Like, there's now a Tides app.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, let's say you're a avid beach goer, like maybe you live on the coast somewhere, and you can check the conditions of the waves at your local beaches. I'm sure that will be useful for a lot of people who actually frequent beaches. So, like, that's interesting. Yeah. But then there's another one where they talk about a snorkeling companion app, which shows you like time spent in water and depth and stuff like that. But interestingly enough, that requires a subscription to, what's the app called? Oceanic Plus?
Oceanic Plus.
Yeah. So there are certain things that are advertised as cool new features that are coming, but they require, some of them, other apps, other subscriptions.
Or that you can use in an older watch that you might already own.
Yeah. If you're not already picking up the point that we're trying to say, is that this is a very iterative update to the Apple Watch series line, for sure.
And that does it. I mean, it's a watch. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And one thing we do want to clarify is that it is a good watch. I know that we were talking about how it feels like we're slamming on the Apple Watch. I mean, we've tried so many Apple Watches over the history of the channel.
Yeah, it's coming from two different perspectives. Right? If you're someone that has a Watch Series 5 or 6, if you're someone that doesn't upgrade your device year after year, this is going to be a really, really good upgrade for you, right? But if you are an enthusiast,
right,
let's say, and you're the type like us sometimes to upgrade year after year after year, at a certain point in time, it gets to a point where it's just not worth your money. And I would say if you have Series 8 or 9, this is such a minor change compared to 8 and 9, probably not worth you going out and trading in your watch to get something like this.
100%. And I think another thing to consider is the fact that if you have an older watch, especially a Series 5 or older, you are getting to the point that if you have a new phone, or you update your phone, you might not be able to pair your watch anymore because it's not getting that update that aligns with the phone. So that is another thing to consider. And overall, if you put the watch, the Series 10 watch, it's an independent product with no history whatsoever, it is a great watch. Yeah. It has a lot of great sensors and a lot of great tools. But if you're considering the bigger picture of the history and the improvements and the changes, it doesn't hold up that great on its on the bigger scheme of the lineup. But the good thing is that the prices didn't change. So we are looking at $399 for the 42 and $429 for the 46. So that does line up with the last year's model. The titanium, though, that one did change. If you're someone that wants to get that premium version of the watch, that one is going to be a little more expensive. So we're looking at $699 for the 42 and $749 for the 46 millimeters.
Yep.
The colors, they're cool. We have the new jet black color, so I think that's back to the iPhone 7.
That's a dope color.
Yeah, jet black is really cool.
Yeah.
You also have the classic silver. You have a rose gold for the base model. For the titanium, you have the natural gray. You have the gold. You have a slate.
Yeah, it's like a close to black, but not black.
Yeah, it's
probably
like a
because
darker
the ultra.
gray. Yeah, and that's a good point. It's like a darker gray.
Yeah, and I feel like Apple didn't go fully black titanium on Watch Series 10 because they just dropped the full black titanium Watch Ultra. And the interesting part is, Watch 10 for titanium is $749.
Right.
But Ultra is $799. So
for $50 more.
For $50 more, I mean, you're going to get a much bigger feeling rugged watch with the Ultra.
It might not be for you.
Yeah. But for $50 more, though, that gap between standard Apple Watch and Ultra has never been closer, which is really interesting.
That would explain why they never went black.
Yeah. That's
interesting.
That as a consumer, if you're considering buying a titanium model Apple Watch, you have some very tough decisions to make for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Yeah. Consider subscribing if you're new.
And anything that you want to see, let us know in the comments. Drop it down below. Share with your friends. Appreciate the support.
Yeah, almost to 20,000. Huge. Huge.
Huge.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back with more stuff real soon, okay?
To the next one.
Peace.